Hello everybody, October baseball is almost here. The playoffs race are heating up. Last night MLB did a squeeze play on ESPN where they kept track of every single game, and the Astros magic number is now down to 2 to clinch the AL West. So we will be keeping an eye on that in the next coming weeks. However, in today's video, of course, we are going to be reacting to the Big Ten games that were being played this weekend. We're going to talk about them, break them down, then we'll predict them, and then we'll play our Texas Tech Road to Glory. So if you are into college football or any type of sports, just hit that sub button, leave a comment down below so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. If you missed my announcement yesterday, I will be at Spanish Fort at Saraland at Spanish Fort at the Hill on Friday night, and then I will be in Auburn for Auburn versus South Alabama on Saturday. So a busy weekend ahead. However, we have some games that we got to react to in the Big Ten. There were lots that we got to talk about, especially about this Ohio State squad and this Penn State squad. So we will get into that here in just a second. Hit that sub button, leave a comment down below first so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. And without further ado, let us go ahead and hop right into these Big Ten week number 2 reactions. So kicking us off here on Friday night, we had Northwestern versus Western Illinois. Of course, this game was going to be a blowout. Last week, I predicted that Tulane would walk into Northwestern and beat them, and that is exactly what happened. Preston Stone, though, the Northwestern quarterback, looked really good, threw for 3 touchdowns, 245 yards, obviously 21 of 29. Not a terrible day for the quarterback of Northwestern. They got the ball to their receivers as well, with each having about 80-85 yards on the day receiving-wise, so that's really good to see before they get into Big Ten Conference play. But this Northwestern squad is going to be a little bit down when it comes to Big Ten Conference play. I don't think they're going to really be able to compete against these heavy hitters like Ohio State and Penn State, which we will talk about here in a second. However, Northwestern does get a win after losing to Tulane in their opening matchup. So Northwestern getting the job done is what you like to see against some of these FCS opponents, which means that your program is moving in the right direction. Now, moving on, we had NIU going into Maryland. Maryland absolutely beating NIU. Obviously, also as expected, Washington, the quarterback for Maryland, threw for 2 touchdowns on the day, 254 yards as well. Not a bad day for the quarterback of Maryland at all. Obviously, that is going to have to translate here in Big Ten play if they want to win games. And yes, we know that they have the number 1 commit in the 2026 class, or like the number 1 quarterback commit in the 2026 class. However, that may change if Maryland does not start winning games. So they've got to start winning games in Big Ten play if they want to get some of these really good recruits. And obviously that's going to have to happen. But right now they do get the job done over Northern Illinois, which was, of course, as expected. Moving on, we had Illinois going into Duke. Again, we talked about this one in our ACC reaction video. However, I thought Duke shot themselves in the foot in this one. Illinois taking advantage of that on their 3 offensive possessions where Duke did turn the ball over. They did go down the field and score right after that. So Illinois, they took advantage of the mistakes that Duke made, and they ultimately did get the job done on the road at Duke in a tough ACC opponent matchup for them. Grambling going into Ohio State. This was obviously the game where a lot of people expected Julian Sayin to go off, and that is exactly what happened. 304 yards, 4 touchdowns on the day. Obviously, again, as expected, Julian Sayin, one of the top-rated quarterback prospects in the country, expected to come in and start right away. Obviously, that did happen. And beating Texas week number 1, now they go on the road and show that they can distribute the ball to their playmakers. Jeremiah Smith, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Jackson, the running back, had a touchdown and 100 yards rushing as well. So Ohio State needed what they need to do to get the job done on or at home against Grambling. As they do head into Big Ten Conference play, we will see what they look like in this Big Ten in 2025. FIU going into Penn State, another game that a lot of people thought Penn State should win, and that is exactly what happened. Obviously, Drew Aller, 200 yards on the dot, 2 touchdowns on the day for him as well. Allen, the running back, 1 touchdown. And then Ross, the wide receiver for Penn State, having 1 touchdown and 65 yards or so, give or take, for the receiver. I thought Drew Aller looked a little slow in that first quarter and that second quarter, but in the third quarter, they turned it on the Jets, and ultimately, that is what got them the win against a struggling FIU team. Penn State moving on to 2-0 and proving why they are, of course, going to be a threat in this Big Ten Conference as well. Oklahoma State going into Oregon. A lot of people thought that this game was going to be a very close rivalry matchup. However, that did not happen. Obviously, Oregon's quarterback Moore, 3 touchdowns, 210 passing yards on the day, 1 touchdown for the running back, and of course, McClellan, 79 yards for the Oregon wide receiver as well. So, Oregon had a phenomenal day at the office. A lot of people were shocked by this, and I was too, because I thought that Oklahoma State was going to keep it a little bit entertaining, and especially in that first half. But right from the get-go, you could tell that Oregon was ready, and they did get the job done. They're going to be a threat in this Big Ten Conference for sure. Moving on, we had Iowa State, another game that we already reacted to in our Big Ten reactions, or Big 12 reaction video. So again, I thought that looked really good. I thought that the defense was what helped them win that game, getting the stop there at the end to close it out in front of a bunch of fans. Indiana, Kennesaw State, Indiana getting the job done like they are supposed to. Mendoza, the quarterback for Indiana, looks really good in his first couple of games. And this is going to be a team to watch because Curt Cignetti has been talking a lot of crap when it comes to the SEC and their scheduling logistics. They go in there, dominate Kennesaw State like that. We will see how that translates to their Big Ten schedule. Last year, Indiana making the college football playoff. I don't think they're going to do that this year, but I think they're going to scare a lot of teams in that Big Ten, and they are definitely going to be a team that you have to prep for in your weekly preparation. So again, Mendoza looked really good. I thought 245 yards or so, 4 touchdowns on the day. Obviously, not a terrible day at the office for the quarterback. Interested to see how that's going to translate to Big Ten play as we do get there in a couple of weeks. Next game up, we had Minnesota dominating Northwestern State. That was obviously as expected as well. They took their starting quarterback out the game, which was as expected, and they ultimately got the job done. So we're not going to talk a little bit about that game. Let us go ahead and move on. Middle Tennessee at Wisconsin. Wisconsin prepping for Alabama this week. That is going to be a fun matchup if you're asking me. This is going to be one of the more underrated matchups of this weekend because Ryan Williams is hurt right now. So Wisconsin 2-0, Bama 1-1. O'Neal looked really solid before they have to play a really good defense in this Alabama Crimson Tide defense. Very interested to see how that's going to go and how that will set them up for conference play in the next couple of weeks. Wisconsin getting the job done, though, and they move on to 2-0 like they are supposed to. Miami going into Rutgers. Rutgers also getting the job done, 45-17 at home against Miami of Ohio. Thought the quarterback looked really good, 4 touchdown passes, but again, that's as expected for them. USC, Georgia Southern. USC blowing Georgia Southern out in a wonky little score. However, they do get the job done. Boston College going into Michigan State. This game was a phenomenal game here on Saturday night. They obviously went into double overtime. Michigan State getting that stop on defense that they needed there in the second overtime to get the job done. That is what is going to allow them to scare a couple of these teams here in the Big Ten. As they start out 2-0, that was a great preparation game for Michigan State before they head into conference play. The quarterback for Boston College did throw for 4 touchdown passes. However, Childs was the better quarterback, throwing for a lot as well. And Michigan State did ultimately get the job done at home. Southern Illinois versus Purdue. Purdue getting the job done. Not going to talk a lot about that game. UCLA, UNLV. UNLV beating Nico Iamaleava. Dan Mullen versus Nico. I thought this was going to be a very interesting matchup to watch, and that's for sure. It definitely was because Nico Iamaleava threw for 1 touchdown pass. He has struggled in his first couple starts as a UCLA Bruin, so I'm very interested to see if Nico is going to wind up on the quarterback number 2 spot midway through the season. That's going to be very interesting to watch. Dan Mullen's era at UNLV has started off 2-0 last week. Obviously, they had that little scare in week 0. But they did get the job done these next couple of weeks, so they start out 3-0 on the season. And then our last game will save Michigan-Oklahoma for tomorrow's video, so stay tuned for that. UC Davis at Washington. Washington getting the job done with the Washington quarterback. 254 yards, 1 touchdown. Looks like they handed the ball off a lot with the Washington running back scoring 5 touchdowns. Coleman and 115 yards on the day. So Washington getting the job done. that closes out our Big Ten reactions. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on. As of right now, the favorites are still looking good, but I'm not going to be shocked if teams like Indiana, Michigan State do end up shocking a lot of these teams here in Big Ten play because they're not prepped for them. These are the teams that you got to look out for. And then, of course, UCLA with Nico Emeagwali. Hit that sub button, though. Leave a comment down below so you don't miss out on any of the latest videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn that bell on. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video. Peace.